Okay, so it's the situation of the country right now. It's quite unfortunate because I don't even know where to start about the discourse from. Lately we have just been we've just been aware of the documents that were released by CSU based on the judgment that was handed down by the court in the United States of America, ordering CSU, that is Chicago State University, to release the results of our presidents, its transcripts, the admission documentations, and the rest. So after the release, we've seen the reactions of Nigerians and public affairs analysts and people who are in the media, and all the talks and conversations they are leading in that regard. Well, for me, it's rather unfortunate because I've seen some of these conversations both on television, on Twitter, and some other social media space. So I am pushed to say one or two comments or say one or two things as regards the conversations I've been hearing. Most importantly, I want to talk about that which I just watched at Arise Television, where a respected journalist, Ruben Abati, was making some comments with regards to a declaration made by one of the lawyers, the lawyer to the CSU, that the documents as they were the certificates, which of course they had no certificate for our president, being that when the certificates were issued that they don't keep any extra copies for. The argument is valid. I can understand that, yet sometimes they don't keep certificates of people who attended the institutions, basically because once you issue the certificate, the candidates or the student picks up the certificate and that's the end. What the school retains is the transcripts of the students. Then again, on the aspect of the admission documentation, I am perturbed about the views of Ruben Abati. Respectfully, he's a learned, gentle person. He's a renowned journalist. Well, my view is I'm concerned about his statement as regards what the court can do and what the court cannot do and what those documents amount to. Really, I'm saddened by his conclusion in that regard, because if a document which purportedly bears the name of Bola Ahmed, and then you have a gender stated female there, and then one is saying that there is just it's just a clerical error based on what the lawyer to CSU declared that it was a clerical error. But I beg to disagree at that regard, because looking at that document, is a certificate coming from another institution, which is Cambridge College. Is a secondary school. Is a secondary school certificate coming from another institution. So for me, the lawyer has no position. He has no propriety to declare or to make a disposition that such that there was a clerical error in that certificate. He is not in a position to do that. So that statement on its facts is already invalid, and one cannot rely on such statement to say that any argument someone is making as to impersonation, or any argument as to validity of such document, or being the presenter of those document, being the proper owner of that document, that such argument is invalid, is false. It's false. You cannot conclude that that's based merely on the position of the lawyer. Because critically looking at it, the document, it is as it is, and the maker of that document is not the lawyer, and he cannot certify or he cannot make a deposition given to the authenticity of that result of that certificate, and to state categorically that such documents that there was a clerical error in that document, because the document is not proceeding from that institution, and that is a clear understanding, is a clear fact. So if you rely on that to make a general statement to us or to the people, to the public, to give an impression that it's a conclusive matter, and then you are delving into the matter which ordinarily when it comes to Supreme Court, the Supreme Court have to take their own stance of view. Of course, you are commenting on a matter which is sub judice, which is a wrong path to toe. Respectfully, I disagree, and I am not comfortable with such conclusion, which is capable of, creating tension, creating sort of general feeling of, I don't know how to describe this scenario, but then it can overheat the polity when such statements are being made. So I would have advised that in such critical issues, you shouldn't have drawn a conclusion. Yet it is good. You have the right to share your own opinion or your view as regards some of these things, but then jumping into conclusion as to what the court can do or what the court cannot do, it's taking it too far. Because if a party has presented this case, it's left the court to decide one way or the other. We cannot preempt the court and tell this is what the court will do, or say this is what the outcome will be. Then obviously it then means that you are already mounting pressure on the court and telling the court this is the decision they must take. And that is why we talk so much about justice system in this country, because we find a situation whereby the people in power tend to over-muzzle, tend to over-influence things. So you are giving a leeway for such, tendencies to continue to be promoted in this country. Yes, it has never happened before in our country where a sitting president is removed by the Supreme Court. But that it has never happened doesn't mean that it can't happen someday. If the facts are clear, or if these things are proven before the court that yes, there is indeed a situation of malpractice, there is indeed a situation of somebody not being competent to become the president of the country, such issues must be ventilated before the court, and the court one way or the other must decide. And if the court finds it proven that yes, this person is not qualified, then of course the court is bound to reach a decision in that regard. Our democracy is growing. Our democracy is going. Yet some of the views, some of the comments, some of the things, some of the body language we tend to exhibit in this country do not allow these things to move forward. Do not allow our country to thrive, to make progress in that regard. Honestly, if we continue the way we are moving in this country, we may never experience true democracy in this country, and rule of law will never, be sustained.